What's up? What's up, man? I want to talk about Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, man. We having a lot of discussion on this because look, this is a big fight. No matter what people say, it is a big fight. It's a fight that people want to talk about. We can talk about other things. I'm gonna wait till some people get up in here, man, and then we're gonna continue the conversation. Let people come on in. What's up, man? I'm trying to wait for some people to get in here, man. We're gonna have a nice discussion on this. Hey, we can talk about multiple things, man, but I want to talk about Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, the history between these two guys. We can talk about their resumes, and we can talk about who you think is avoiding the fight. I have my opinion on who I think has a better resume. I know a lot of people want to just limit the resumes to 147, but if you're going to open up the whole entire resume, which I'm going to open up the whole entire resume, because when you open up a guy's resume, you got to open up the resume. You got to open up the whole history. And I'm saying Terrence Crawford has the better resume overall, not just 147. You know what I'm saying? If you want to say just 147, you want to limit it to just 147, you can limit it to 147, but I'm not going to tell you how to bring forth your opinion, but I'm opening up the whole resume, the entire resume. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see in a minute. I'm trying to wait for some people to come in here, man, so we can have a healthy discussion on this, man. Let's let some people get a chance to come up in here. And the link is in the comment section, man. If you want to get in, go in the comment section and just get on up in here, and we can discuss this. Hey, don't be afraid to hit the link. Hit the link, man. Get on up in here, y'all. I know y'all out there and y'all want to discuss this, have a healthy, you know what I'm saying, discussion on it. We can do that all day long. We can talk about this whole Errol Spence, which I think is, to me, the fight should be happening this year. The fight definitely should be happening this year. This fight, to me, should not go past this year. You know what I'm saying? I know some people probably would. I know some people probably would agree with me that this fight should be happening this year. The fight has been talked about to me for the last 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Since before Terrence Crawford came into the welterweight division, he was talking about fighting those guys at the welterweight division. You know what I mean? Them guys, they said, rightfully so. They said until Terrence Crawford get a belt at welterweight, There's no sense. There's no sense in talking about the fight. Which at the time I agreed with them because he wasn't competing at their division, that Sean Porter division. When Sean Porter was there, Keith Thurman was there, Earl Spence was there. I'm not sure if Danny was there yet. Danny could have just entered it himself, but they said we're not going to talk about Terrence Crawford until he entered the division. Man, Terrence Crawford entered the division, man, and guess what he does? He beats the guy that beat Manny Pacquiao and Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn was an undefeated champion. So Terrence Crawford beat an undefeated champion coming into the division. What people will say, well, he got that fight because of the opportunity. You right. You right. You are right. Correct. He did get the fight because of the opportunity. But guess what? Because you get the opportunity, that don't mean you necessarily you're gonna cash in. You know what I'm saying? So he won the fight. And then he won the fight by stoppage, which a lot of guys was saying, man, I don't know if Terrence Crawford gonna be able to beat Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn might be too strong for him. You know what I'm saying? Jeff Horn might be this. Jeff Horn might be that. Jeff Horn competed at 154. It was guys on the PBC that was saying that, they think that Jeff Horn got a chance to beat Terrence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? So Terrence Crawford has to get his just due when he wins the fight. So, you know what I'm saying? Let's let some people get a chance to get on up in here, man. Let me see who all. Hold on, I'm gonna put this on pause real quick. Yeah, man, but let's talk this talk, man, because I got it like this. Um, Terrence Crawford overall resume, in my opinion, is better than Errol Spence. Terrence Crawford beat 7 undefeated fighters in his career so far. 4 of the guys that he beat that were undefeated, he beat those guys. He beat those guys for titles. He beat Ndago, Jeff Horn. He beat Victor Postal. You know what I'm saying? And he beat Ricky Burns. Let's not forget Ricky Burns. He beat Ricky Burns. And he beat Ricky Burns on Ricky Burns' home soil in the UK. So that was a great victory. And guess what? Guess what? He beat Ricky Burns on his home turf. You know what I'm saying? So Terrence Crawford did his thing, man. And he was undisputed at 140. But I'm not gonna even bring that into the conversation. I'm just gonna bring the guys that he beat now. He beat Gamboa. A lot of people say, well, Gamboa was small. Well, Terrence Crawford was competing at the lower weight classes when he beat Gamboa. It's not like Terrence Crawford was 147 and Gamboa was 135, and Gamboa came up and fought Terrence Crawford at 147. They both fought each other at the lower weight classes. So And then we all know what Gamboa was doing. Hey, hit the link in the description so you can get in. Whoever want to get in on the panel. But like I said, and Errol Spence, he beat Errol Spence beat three undefeated fighters, two of them for two champions, two of them was champions, and zero none of them was undefeated when he beat them at the time. He beat Kell Brook, which to me was a great victory for Errol Spence. He went to the UK, beat Kell Brook on Kell Brook's home soil, right? But I got something for people. I got something for people that want to down Terrence Crawford victory over Kell Brook. They want to say Kell Brook had two broken eye sockets. Yes, he did have two former broken eye sockets that were healed. And Kell Brook was coming into that fight versus Errol Spence, I believe, on a 2-fight win streak or something like that. When he lost to Errol Spence, he was coming off a broken eye socket loss to Triple G. You know what I'm saying? So, see, I'm not going to down Errol Spence win. I'm just saying what people are saying. See, if you're going to give Errol Spence credit, you got to give Terrence Crawford credit for beating Kell Brook. And he beat Kell Brook, not that he went in there and beat him down over rounds. And Kell Brook showed that he didn't have anything. Kell Brook was just in there taking punishment. No, he beat Kell Brook, you know what I'm saying, with a strategy, with a mind, and he was able to adapt in the fight. Because actually, if you want to look at the fight, if y'all looked at the fight, if you have seen the fight, Kell Brook was winning the first 2 rounds. And then because his jab was having a lot of success when Terrence Crawford was in the orthodox position, stance. Terrence Crawford switched to southpaw. Guess what happened? He took away Kell Brook's jab. And then he was able to walk Terrence Crawford in that punch that he was able to walk Kell Brook and set Kell Brook up for that punch, because they both discussed it after the fight. So that had nothing to do with Kell Brook's eye socket. I'm with you if he was beating Kell Brook up from the pillar to post and Kell Brook just, you know what I'm saying, took the punishment. I'm with you then. And then Kell Brook showed that he didn't have anything. He was looking lethargic. Nothing. Kell Brook won the first 2 rounds. I don't think people want to give Terrence Crawford his just due, because people keep on saying, well, he has not beat a full-fledged welterweight yet. He beat Kell Brook. Kell Brook was a full-fledged welterweight. You know what I'm saying? When he got in the ring with David Benavidez looked bigger than Terrence Crawford. He was a full-fledged welterweight. He looked bigger than Terrence Crawford in the ring. Not only taller, he looked bigger. So when you say he has not faced a full-fledged welterweight yet, to me, that's an excuse. That's an excuse to get his man to say this man is not fighting anybody. That's, to me, that's a deterrent to say that this man hasn't done anything. And then Sean Porter on his podcast say, well, Kell Brook did not give any resistance. He was shook up by the punch. He was shook up by the punch. He was not only he was hurt. He was really hurt by the punch, like really hurt. The man almost turned his back because he didn't see it coming. He set him up so good that he didn't even see it coming. And those are the punches that you get hurt by, are the ones that you don't see coming. Everybody knows that and know anything about boxing. The ones that really, truly hurt you and you don't have time to brace for. The reason why he hurt him so bad is because Kell Brook was trying to worry about what he was about to do. And Terrence Crawford caught him in between that motion. And he hit him with like a half hook. It wasn't a lot of people say it was a jab, but it was kind of like it wasn't a full hook. It was kind of like a half hook. You know what I'm saying? And he caught him right on the jaw. Like caught him right on the jaw. Like caught him right there where you need to catch someone at. And, a lot of people before the fight, this is why I didn't want him to fight Kell Brook, because I really wasn't advocating for the Kell Brook fight, because I knew what was gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? That I mean, the Kell Brook fight was good for Terrence Crawford, but I wasn't clamoring for that fight because I knew what was gonna happen. I knew he was gonna stop Kell Brook. Some people was picking Kell Brook to stop Terrence Crawford. It was some people that was picking him to stop Terrence Crawford. So I mean, I heard some of them guys say that they give Terrence Crawford a lot of respect for the fight. You know what I'm saying? Because of that. But like I said, it was people that was picking Terrence Crawford to get stopped by Kell Brook. So that's how I know the man should get all the credit in the world for that fight. But like I said, man, I'm not gonna just limit Terrence Crawford resume to 147. Overall, his resume is better than Errol Spence's resume. And I just pointed out the reasons why. You know what I'm saying? The man beat several champions, beat guys when they were champions and they were undefeated. He beat Jeff Horn, who Jeff Horn beat Pacquiao. A lot of people want to look. I thought Pacquiao won the fight, but on black and white, he lost. Pacquiao lost the fight because Jeff Horn had the title. So it really doesn't matter what I think. That's my, you know what I'm saying? That's my opinion. I'm not one of the judges. You know what I'm saying? Terrence Crawford beat Victor Postol. Victor Postol stopped Lucas Matisse. You know what I'm saying? Danny Garcia had a really good fight versus Lucas Matisse. Lucas Matisse stopped. I mean, Victor Postol stopped Lucas Matisse. Stopped now, and Lucas Matisse, he stopped Lamont Peterson quicker than Errol Spence did at a lower weight class. So I know people want to try to poo-poo the Victor Postol fight. You know what I'm saying? And say, and that's who Danny Garcia did vacate his title and moved up to 47. Who else he beat? He beat Ndago. People gonna say, well, the Ndago, who was Ndago? Ndago did win both of his titles on the road. He won both of the titles that he won on the road. And before that fight, people were saying Ndago was going to do this, Ndago was going to do that. I was even saying Ndago was going to get Terrence Crawford some trouble because of his length. I still picked Terrence Crawford to win, and I believe I picked Terrence Crawford to win by stoppage. But I said myself that I think Terrence Crawford is going to have some problems because the guy is lengthy. You know what I'm saying? And he showed that he got some good boxing skills. But Terrence Crawford went in there and made that fight look very, very, very easy. And that was for undisputed at 140. You know what I'm saying? But look, I can understand when people say Terrence Crawford got the better resume at 147. I would agree with you that Terrence Crawford got the better resume at 147. I mean, that Errol Spence got the better resume at 147. You know, I will agree with that. Sean Porter is a two-time welterweight champion. Danny Garcia won a vacant WBC champion versus Robert Guerrero. But when I look at both of these guys, what was that guy? Diaz. I believe he drew with Sean Porter, and Sean Porter came back and beat him the next fight. But Sean Porter, his best win at 47 was against Danny Garcia. What's Danny Garcia's best win at 47? Robert Guerrero, which Robert Guerrero never did anything at 147 significant. He beat Andre Berto, and Andre Berto then got beat up by Andre Berto, man. Andre Berto, like, he hasn't been the same since he got beat when he was undefeated. So what I'm trying to say is this. Yes, he got the better resume at 147, but it's not by a lot. It's not like it's a landslide. You know what I'm saying? Because Terrence Crawford can come back and say, well, I beat Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn beat Manny Pacquiao. Jeff Horn beat Manny Pacquiao, who, which one of your opponents that you beat anybody better than, you know what I'm saying, Manny Pacquiao? None of them. So Jeff Horn had the best win out of these guys at 147 when you want to look at it. Because Pacquiao came back and beat Keith Thurman. You know what I'm saying? He bounced back and beat Keith Thurman, beat Adrian Broner. So when you say that and look, Errol Spence is the man at 147. You know why? Because he got 2 titles. I'm not gonna be a hypocrite and say, well, and try to advocate for the fighter that I like the best at the division. My criteria for a guy that's the best at the division is the guy that got the most titles. Period. Because I'm going at the undisputed. And if a guy got more titles than the other guy, he's the man at the division. Everybody else got to come see him. I mean, it's still the guy who got the most titles. It's still upon him to go get those titles as well. You know what I'm saying? I don't see why, because you have the most titles, why you can't call out the other title holders. Because Errol Spence said his mission is to be undisputed at welterweight. Terrence Crawford's mission is to be undisputed at welterweight. So if it's your mission is to be undisputed at the division, then you should call out other guys who has titles. Now, both of these guys have called out Manny Pacquiao. Both of these guys on numerous occasions said they want to fight each other. One guy, in my opinion, wants to fight now, ASAP, quickly as possible. And then the other fighter wants to put the fight off because he wants to fight everybody in his stable, which is Errol Spence. Now, this is the argument people have for Errol Spence, where Errol Spence has options. Well, his options, because what he said he wanted to be undisputed, one of his options should be Terrence Crawford. If he's fighting anybody except the guys who have the titles, then I'm looking at you like, okay, why are you not fighting Terrence Crawford? The Sean Porter fight, a great fight, because guess what? Sean Porter had the WBC title. Sean Porter had a title. So he was supposed to fight Sean Porter. I'm not mad that he fought Sean Porter before he fought Terrence Crawford, because Sean Porter had a title. Mikey Garcia didn't have a title. Danny Garcia didn't have a title. And people won't say, well, that was his comeback fight. No, that fight was signed and that fight was agreed upon. I don't know if it was signed, but that fight was agreed upon before the accident. Remember, Danny Garcia got in the ring after he fought and defeated Sean Porter. So that fight was already agreed upon, because if you have to go by that, because Errol Spence says it's easier to make his fights on the inside. You know what I'm saying? He said it's easier to make inside fights. You know what I'm saying? So, but people forget that Errol Spence was not getting those fights for a long time. The Sean Porters, the Danny Garcias, the Keith Thurmans. He wasn't getting those fights for a long time, but people say it's easier to make the fights when you're in the same stable, which I don't get that either, because if two fights don't want to fight, they're not going to fight. I don't care if they're in the same stable. If they don't want to fight, they're not going to fight. You know what I'm saying? So either look, and if two guys want to fight, they're going to fight. If two guys want to fight, I agree with people that says that. If two, like, okay, people say, so when did Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford have a chance to fight? Now, they both fought in June. This is when Terrence Crawford fought Jeff Horn in June of 2018. Errol Spence fought Ocampos June 16th of 2018. And make sure I'm right, man, because you gotta be on it. You gotta be on it. So let me see. Terrence Crawford, he fought Jeff Horn June of 2018. Okay, June 9th. Yeah. And Errol Spence fought Ocampos June 16th. June the 16th. So they both fought in the same month. And then Errol Spence took like about a 9-month layoff before he fought Mikey Garcia. Meanwhile, Terrence Crawford fought Jose Benavidez 4 months later. And then it wasn't until 6 months, 5 months, no, 6 months until Terrence Crawford fought Amir Khan. So in between the Jose Benavidez and the Terrence Crawford fight, I mean the Amir Khan fight, they could have negotiated a fight if they really wanted to. Because guess what? Amir Khan was not a champion. Amir Khan was not a champion. Let me say that again. Amir Khan was not a champion. If those two guys wanted to negotiate a fight, they could have negotiated the fight right after that Benavidez fight. Right after. Because guess what? After that Benavidez fight, he didn't fight Terrence Crawford didn't fight Amir Khan until 2019. You know what I'm saying? Until April the 20th. And he did Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence didn't fight Mikey Garcia until what? January, February, March 16th. So they could have fought. There it is right there. They could have fought, man. You know, people say, well, okay, so when can they have fought realistically? They could have fought then. They could have negotiated the fight then. They didn't negotiate the fight. For some reason, they didn't negotiate the fight. You know what I'm saying? We can speculate on who was at fault, why they negotiate the fight. But the fact of the matter is, they did not negotiate the fight. You know what I'm saying? No negotiations of the fight. So I want to, I know Blood had hosted a debate between IBOTA, or I get his name mixed up, and Mooney Brown. And they were talking about, you know what I'm saying, who they thought ducked to, who didn't duck. I thought it was a good debate. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was a good debate between both of them. I didn't think they really interrupted each other too much, but they did interrupt each other. It wasn't to the point to where you couldn't figure out each other's points. Each one of them had points. Each one of them had good points. Each one of them made some good arguments. But what I'm going to say is this. I thought IOTBA, I thought he made better points from this circumstance. Errol Spence did tell that man to get a title. And then I ain't gonna say who pulled up on who. They both met up at the fight, and they were back in the back. And Terrence Crawford said right out, y'all told me to go get a title before y'all talked about me. And you said that you will fight me if I get a title. And then what did Errol Spence say? Sean Porter got a title. That's fine. Sean Porter got a title. That's fine. Because Sean Porter has a title. But then when he started naming Mikey Garcia, he started naming Danny Garcia. Them two dudes don't have no titles, man. I don't know why he was naming them. And those two guys didn't have a title. That's my gripe. Is you was naming people, you was putting people in front of Terrence Crawford that did not have a title. And I have a problem with that. I have a problem with the fact that you put guys that didn't have titles in front of this man. And Terrence Crawford should have been the second name that you said behind Sean Porter. That's what I don't think people are getting. Sean Porter, it should have been Sean Porter, Terrence Crawford. That's what it should have been. That's what it should have been. But it wasn't. So that's why a lot of people say that Errol Spence is moving different. It's because of that point. It's because when it comes to Terrence Crawford, see, everybody was on everybody was on that. The whole when Errol Spence came in the division and he started coming up, and when Mayweather said that you and Keith Thurman would be a good fight, and everybody was like, man, Keith Thurman, you got to fight him, you got to fight him, you got to fight him. And then when Keith Thurman said, no, I'm looking at Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, because those two guys are the guys that I'm looking at, you know what I'm saying, at this moment in time to get a fight with. I'm chasing those guys, and mainly Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? Mayweather was PBC. Mayweather was on the same side of the street. You know what I'm saying? Quote unquote, same side of the street. Easier to fight to make. And people were saying, oh, you ducking Errol Spence. Sean Porter, you ducking Errol Spence. Danny Garcia, you ducking Errol Spence. But when it comes to a guy that's coming from, who started his career at what? I think Terrence Crawford started his career at 135, 130 maybe even. He probably could have had some fights at 130, but somewhere up in there. Hey, hit the Tommy Temper, hit the link, man. Come on the panel and speak your piece. But when a guy come from a lower weight class, come in your division, who you said get a belt, I will fight you if you get a title. When that guy comes up, now everything is different now. And everybody was saying that you was the boogeyman of the division. You even said, hey, I'm the boogeyman of the division. Okay, if you the boogeyman and a guy trying to challenge the boogeyman, from what I know, watching the boogeyman on TV, the boogeyman, you know what I'm saying, he kills you. He come and get you even if you don't challenge him. He's coming for you. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I want people to have the same, you know when the young people say the same energy. I'm just stripping one, then I'll hit on. Okay. But when people say have that same energy, why Errol Spence not having that same energy when it comes to Terrence Crawford, man? I already know the reason why. I'm gonna tell you the reason why in a minute. But why is he not having that same energy with Terrence Crawford? That's all I want to know. Why he not having that same energy? You gotta have the same energy. That's all I'm saying, man. Why not the same energy? And I'm gonna tell you why. Because Terrence Crawford is going to mess up those plans, man. Terrence Crawford is going to mess up the plans that the PBC have for Errol Spence, because that's a fight that can derail the plans of Errol Spence, because the PBC loves selling the undefeated fighter. You know what I'm saying? They sell. Well, look, I ain't gonna even say just the PBC. Any promotional company will love to sell an undefeated fighter that's a champion, because that brings people in, that sparks people interest. Oh, he's a champion, he's undefeated, things of that nature. Terrence Crawford will put a monkey wrench in all that. You know what I'm saying? Terrence Crawford shows up to his fight. Terrence Crawford can't come down there and get an interview next to Errol Spence. To me, that would have been a good promotion. Where people say, well, they couldn't do it because of the COVID-19. Well, Terrence Crawford, just put your mask on. Put your mask on and come down here and you know what I'm saying, let's promote this fight. That didn't happen. Errol Spence talking about Canelo Alvarez, he showed up on that was a DAZN. I know it was in Texas. I'm not saying it was bad, but that was a DAZN platform. You know what I'm saying? Which he said he'll never fight on the app. You know what I'm saying? He said he'll never fight on ESPN and he'll never fight on DAZN, because DAZN is an app. Okay, so why are you calling out Canelo Alvarez if you'll never fight on the app? Because if you fight Canelo Alvarez, you're definitely not the A side. Mr. Errol Spence Jr. You're definitely not the A side. You're gonna be fighting on the zone. You're gonna be fighting on the zone. You're definitely not gonna be the A side. It's definitely, to me, it's definitely not gonna be a thing where Canelo, they're gonna have to do a cross promotion, because they're not gonna do no cross promotion, because Canelo is definitely the A side. Like, and I don't even like how Canelo move. And it's a lot of things I don't like about Canelo. The whole steroid thing I don't like, because that brings his whole career into question. Because, like I said, and some people brought it up on Blood's stream, that Canelo had problems with stamina, and I know for a fact he had trouble with stamina in some of his fights and making weight. And then people say that Brutal helps you with both. So if that helps him with both, his career, from when he started looking not gassing out or not having stamina problems, that stuff start coming into play, man. So, like I said, if he fight Canelo Alvarez, he's definitely not going to be the A side. And Canelo Alvarez is not going to come down to 160 and fight no Terrence Crawford. You think Canelo, Errol Spence is not that much of a command of a fight to come down. Now, Errol Spence does have a fan base in Texas, so that's why it makes sense for Canelo to say, okay, I'll fight Errol Spence, but he's not going to come down to 160. I'm telling y'all, he's going to move the goalpost. He's going to say, fight me at 165. He's going to have a catch weight for Errol Spence. And Errol Spence is going to take it, because you know why? Errol Spence is chopping at the bit to fight Canelo, not because he can beat Canelo, because of the payday. The payday he's going to get from Canelo. Canelo is not going to come down, drain his body down to 160 for what? A guy that's coming up for 147 who, now, if Errol Spence beat Terrence Crawford, beat Manny Pacquiao, undisputed at 147, even still, I don't think Canelo is going to come down to 160. I can see the point of him doing that, because it'll be legacy to get you finna fight a guy that cleaned out his division at 147 and undisputed, and he's going to come to 160 to fight you. Agree to come fight you at 160. But Canelo knows he has the leverage on Errol Spence. When y'all gonna say Errol Spence has options, Canelo has options, a lot of options too, as well. Canelo can fight Benavidez, he can fight Caleb Plant, he can fight Andrade, he can fight both of either the Charlo brothers. You know what I'm saying? He could fight a lot of guys from 175 on down to 160. You know what I'm saying? And then the guys that he fight at 160, he don't have to fight for their titles, because he already been a 160-pound champion. He's going to fight at a catch weight. I'm going to tell you right now, any of those guys, Caleb Plant, any of the Charlo brothers, Andrade, Billy Joe Saunders, any of those guys will fight a Canelo catch weight just to get the fight. Tell me if I'm lying. That's how much power Canelo has in boxing right now. Any one of those guys will fight him at a catch weight just to get the fight. But let me go back on Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. I don't want to get too far away from that. Terrence Crawford is a bad matchup for Errol Spence as well. I'm gonna tell y'all the reason why. Terrence Crawford, before Terrence Crawford was gonna fight Errol Spence, even before Terrence Crawford came to the division, when Terrence Crawford was at 135, I think right after he beat Gamboa, because I know a lot of people pick Gamboa to beat Terrence Crawford. I picked Terrence Crawford to win by stoppage. I've been on Terrence Crawford since he beat Breedis Prescott. When he took that fight on short notice and beat Breedis Prescott, I seen that fight. I was like, this dude can fight. This dude got some special skills. I want to see him. I want to see more of him to see if what I'm seeing is validated. So he kept fighting. Boom, 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 boom. You know, undisputed 35, Ricky Burns, Hank Lundy. He beat, a lot of these guys. Delorme, went through and beat Jeff Horn. And okay, before he fought Jeff Horn, when he was at 40, after he beat Ndago, people were saying, I don't think he can compete. I thought he can compete at 47 when he was 35, because I seen his dimensions. It's 5'8", 73, 74-inch reach. I was like, oh, okay. He's a strong guy, strong base, can box, fight orthodox, fight southpaw, got really good defense, and got really good legs. Terrence Crawford got really good legs. Terrence Crawford can actually go in there and make the fight look a lot more easier than what he's doing. Terrence Crawford is looking for these stoppages because Terrence Crawford is a hunter by nature. He hide behind the fact that he's a really good boxer, but he's a hunter. Terrence Crawford loves to hunt just as much as y'all say Errol Spence loves to hunt, and Errol Spence does love to hunt you. Terrence Crawford loves to hunt you too, but Terrence Crawford can hide it behind boxing, his boxing IQ. He's a better boxer than Errol Spence. Errol Spence, the reason why you see that Errol Spence is a hunter because Errol Spence shows you that he's a hunter because he's a hunter first. He can box a little bit because he went through the amateur system, amateur program. You got to be able to box some, so he can box a little bit. But he's a hunter. He shows you that he's a hunter. So his is up front. Terrence Crawford can camouflage his behind that IQ and that boxing. But anyway, Terrence Crawford can make the fight look rather easy by using his legs. We seen the Victor Postal fight where he went in there and boxed Victor Postal and then ended up knocking Victor Postal down a couple times. You know what I'm saying? Getting a couple knockdowns because he started catching Victor Postal in counters. But anyway, Terrence Crawford has a multitude ways of winning. And he showed it in his fights. You know what I'm saying? He can box you. You know what I'm saying? He can fight on his back foot, fight on his front foot. He can turn southpaw. He can fight orthodox. He just has too many ways of winning. And then people say, well, he's too small for Errol Spence. A lot of people say that. A lot of people say, oh, he's too small for Errol Spence. No, he's not. Now that he's shown that he's not too small for Errol Spence because he beat Jeff Horn, who was a physical welterweight. And Jeff Horn competed at 154 at one point. He beat Carol Brook. The reason why people were saying the Carol Brook eye thing was the reason why he beat Carol Brook is because they understand that by him beating Carol Brook, and Carol Brook was a big physical guy who fought Errol Spence, and Errol Spence went almost life and death for Carol Brook, and Terrence Crawford stopped Carol Brook in 4 or 5 rounds. You know what I'm saying? Now people want to say, oh man, you know what I'm saying? Now they're trying to find another way. You know what I'm saying? Because they know that Terrence Crawford physically, he's a welterweight now. What they should have did was catch Terrence Crawford early. Now Terrence Crawford has settled into the weight. He's used to the weight now. You know what I'm saying? He already had the dimensions to be a welterweight. Now he's settled in. Now he's a welterweight. Now you're not going to out physical him because he fought two big guys. And Errol Spence admitted that Carol Brook was a big physical welterweight. What did Terrence Crawford do with him? Had nothing to do with the eye because it's not like he punished and beat Carol Brook from pillow to post. It's not like Terrence Crawford beat him from pillow to post because actually Carol Brook won the first 2 rounds. It wasn't until Terrence Crawford adjusted in the ring, made an adjustment. That's what guys do. Guys making adjustments. People was like, well, only reason why he turned southpaw is because Carol Brook was beating him for the first 2 rounds. Well, that's what you're supposed to do. That's why you're supposed to have multitude of ways of winning. That's why I keep telling y'all that Terrence Crawford has a multitude of ways of winning is because he was able to turn southpaw. And what did he do when he turned southpaw? He took Carol Brook's jab away and he countered Carol Brook. That's why he beat Carol Brook. It wasn't because of Carol Brook's eye. I know people want to think that. It wasn't because of his eye. He countered Carol Brook. That's what he did. It wasn't because of his eye that Errol Spence beat him. It was because Errol Spence beat him down to the point to no mercy. You know what I'm saying? Because Carol Brook was winning that fight. Carol Brook was beating Errol Spence. It was just Errol Spence just kept, and to me, Errol Spence did not make any adjustments. Errol Spence just kept doing what he was doing. He was able to grind Carol Brook down and break his other eye socket. I was 100%. What's up? I'm gonna add you. What's up, man? What's up, Tommy? Temper. Introduce yourself.
1 sec. Let me just mute YouTube. 1 sec.
Okay.
Yo. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, coming through now. Yeah, what's going on, Wayne? Yeah, you make a lot of sense when you're breaking down Spence and Bud. I agree with a lot of things that you say. Actually, there's one thing I would like to add is I think Spence is better stationary, as in sitting on the spot, and I think Bud is better sort of swarming around you, like the way Ali did. If that makes sense. That's the things that distinguishes them apart, in my mind, anyway.
Oh, that's a good point. But what I would say is this: I know that we all have our opinions. You know what I'm saying? I don't like talking about A side, B side, and who making more money, who's not making more money. I'm here to make the fights. I'm here to advocate for the best fighting the best. That's what I want to see. I want to see the best fight the best, so we can see who's the best. So we won't have discussions of fights that should be happening, that's not happening, and we're not talking about the actual breakdown of the fights. Because look, I'm not saying it's people here for different reasons, right? Now, I used to be a former fighter. I had a couple professional fights. I had a couple amateur fights, and I trained fighting for like about 5 to 10 years. I was either in the gym or out the gym, then back in and out.
Boxing?
Huh?
Boxing?
Yeah, hundreds. Yeah. I had hundreds and hundreds of rounds of sparring, so I understand fighting. I understand, and I know what it is to get hit by a body shot. I know what it is to deliver certain punches, and I know how the ramifications of a fight happens. I've been in the sparring matches with different styles: tall guys, short guys, fast guys, strong guys that was 20, 30, 40 pounds heavier than me. Because at the time I was fighting, I was competing at 135. I did have a fight at 130. I'm in sparring with guys like 160, 165. I'm sparring with the guys that are competing at heavyweight. Now they not going crazy hard with me, but I'm sparring with these guys, so I understand the psychological things on how fighting goes, and I understand that people do not like certain styles. And I'm gonna tell, and this is the elephant in the room: guys that can box real well. I'm gonna tell you who they rather fight. They rather fight guys that come forward to them, because when you're a boxer, you don't want to have to go find someone. You want someone to come straight to you, because guess what? You can see everything that's going on. Boxers hate fighting other boxers. That's what they hate doing, because you have to go find that guy. You know what I'm saying? And it can be a tedious task if you're not up for the task and your mind has to be sharp. That's why people who are great boxers, they want to fight guys who come forward. They don't care that you have a big punch. They don't care that you have a big punch, because a lot of times they can nullify your big punch, a la Fury and Wilder. What was Fury able to do? Take away Wilder's right hand. When he did that, it made Wilder really obsolete. Now, I'm not saying Spence is that diminished of a fighter like fighter like Wilder, who doesn't have that many weapons. Spence actually has some weapons, but when people say that he's strong for Terrence Crawford, that's not the case, because people were saying that he was too strong, that Jeff Horn was going to be too strong for Terrence Crawford. What did Terrence Crawford do? Handle him easy. They actually clinched up a couple of times, and Terrence Crawford was pushing him back. And
I get that, but you can't. I don't think you can compare two fighters like that and expect the same outcome.
No. I'm not saying expect the outcome. What I'm saying is this: when people say that Errol Spence is too strong for Terrence Crawford, I'm just giving you examples where Terrence Crawford been in the ring with other strong welterweights. I'm not saying it's going to be the same outcome. When he was in the ring with the latest guy he was in the ring with was Carol Brook. People was picking Carol Brook to stop Terrence Crawford because I was listening to people's videos. They were saying that they think that Terrence Crawford is finally in the ring with a guy that's a full-fledged welterweight, a big, strong welterweight, and they think that Terrence Crawford is going to get stopped by Carol Brook. What did Terrence Crawford go in there and do? Now, he went in there, and guess what? Carol Brook was winning the fight. I thought Carol Brook was winning the first 2 rounds. I thought Carol Brook won the first 2 rounds. And I was going for Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford then did what? He turned southpaw. He took Carol Brook's jab away. And then the fight was over. So what is the excuse when he beat Carol Brook? Oh, Carol Brook got 2 broken eye sockets. Well,
no. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. Look, the rationale behind it was if Cal could have taken him into deep water, he could have drowned him, and I can understand that, but it never happens. Let's be real.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that, but it was some people that was picking him to get stopped by Carol Brook. Now, I knew he was going to stop Carol Brook. I picked him to stop Carol Brook in the later rounds. I didn't know it was going to be that early. I didn't know it was going to be that early. But when I started looking at the fight, and after I seen Terrence Crawford turn southpaw, and I seen that Carol Brook was no longer throwing his jab, which was keeping Terrence Crawford at bay a little bit, then I said to myself, oh, this fight is over. Because as soon as he took his jab away, everybody knows that Carol Brook jab is like 50% of his fighting style is his jab, because his jab sets up all the other stuff that he throws, which to me is not a bad thing. I think all fighters should set up all their punches from jabs, but we know Carol Brook basis of his jab is to set up his 1-2, right? Because remember, he comes with that 1-2. He has the best 1-2 in the game. You know what I'm saying? Because it's straight down the pipe. So when he took away his jab, I knew the fight was over. It was just only a matter of time. But it had nothing to do with his eye sockets.
No, it had to do with that sort of Bruce Lee-esque punch that Bud threw, the lead hand. That was amazing, that punch.
Mm-hmm. And Carol Brook, I don't know if you've seen the interview between those two. They were in the back and they were talking about how they was trying to set each other up. Because not Errol Spence, but Terrence Crawford was like, I seen you trying to set me up with a counter, but I was trying to set you up with a counter. And that's why you know what I'm saying? You was catching me with those jabs because I was looking for those counters that I knew was coming. I knew that 1-2 was coming, but you know what I'm saying? He said, so I turned southpaw so I can set you up. Yeah, man, it was a good back and forth. I mean, look, we all I want to see the fight. You know what I'm saying? I understand that, and I give it to Errol Spence. Errol Spence is the man at 47 because my criteria for someone being the man at the division, because we don't have one title to determine who's the man, it's multiple titles. Whoever has the most belts, in my opinion, and that's only my opinion, is the man at the division. Like Teofimo Lopez. He's the man at 35 because guess what? He has the most titles. A lot of people want to say, well, this guy is the man. No. That dude is the dude because he's one belt away from being undisputed. Just like welterweight. Errol Spence is the man because Errol Spence has 2 titles. Manny has 1. Terrence Crawford has 1. Even though I think Terrence Crawford is a better fighter, he's not the man at 47. That's Errol Spence. When I go to the heavyweight division, to me, I know Fury is undefeated and he beat Wilder. Anthony Joshua, to me, is still the man. He got 3 titles.
I'll tell you why AJ's still the man is because he had 3 titles, then he lost them, and then he got them straight back, and then his next fight. He got them straight back.
That's my point. That's my point I was having with my guy Phil, when Phil was like, well, because in one talk he was saying that Errol Spence was the man because Errol Spence had more titles, and then we had a conversation the next day, and he said, "Well, no, Fury is the man at heavyweight because he's still undefeated." I said, "Hold on, so you're gonna say he's the man because he's undefeated, but he only has one title?" Well, Anthony Joshua lost to Andy Ruiz. Okay, but he was able to advance it. Like
that's boxing fans for you all over. Defeat. They lost the row. That means they've lost their mystique. So what?
What's up, Rollo, man? Get in here.
It's just a no, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't lose your mystique because you look, and Anthony Joshua, to me, has the best resume of any heavyweight competing right now by far.
By far, yeah. By far.
It's not even close. It's not even close. When you look at Fury, the only two people he beat was Wilder and he beat Klitschko, but he never defended a title ever in his life.
That's right.
Joshua defended his title multiple times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else as well. I don't think Fury's ever going to fight again in the UK. And I think it's all to do with that fracas to do with the UCAD situation. Mm-hmm. There's something dodgy went on in the background. I don't have all the details, but I'm sure Mark on Rivals, he knows more than I do about that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't think he's ever going to fight in the UK again. And I think there's legal reasons. There's some back fucking deal that's being done, and I that's my understanding anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because some people wanted to try to discredit Anthony Joshua as being a champion, but Fury is the one that did things to becoming to being a champion. He's the one, but I believe he failed a drug test before the Klitschko's second fight, right? Something happened.
It was either before the Klitschko fight or the fight just before that, and they covered it up for some reason, but I can't remember what the reason was.
Okay.
But this is so complicated because at the end of the day, you got to understand there's people that wanted Klitschko to move on, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. You always have that in any sport. They always want their guy to be the next guy. Money, money motivates people. So I think that's one of the reasons why it was hushed up. And because realistically, that fight should have been deemed a no contest if Fury popped dirty. If you think about it.
I get it. I get it. I mean, to me, the waters are murky when he failed the drug test. The timeline when he failed the drug test, that is kind of murky. But what's not murky is this man Anthony Joshua put some work in at heavyweight. Period. That man put work. That man beat a man who's in the top 10 right now. He beat my fault. He's not only beat top 10 heavyweight. I believe Anthony Joshua, of the top 10 heavyweights, Anthony Joshua beat 4 of them. Andy Ruiz, the other UK guy, what's his name?
White.
Yeah, White. He beat he revenged his fight versus Andy Ruiz. He beat the Russian too. Povetkin. So he beat more people in the top 10 than any other heavyweight. That man put in work. He beat Charles Martin for the IBF. Say what you want about Charles Martin. I know Charles Martin, how he won the title. I seen the fight. But say what you want to say. Somebody had to win the fight. So he won the fight. You know what I'm saying? And he stopped Charles Martin. After Charles Martin said he walked this world like a god. You know what I'm saying? He beat Charles Martin. You know what I'm saying? He beat the Joseph Parker for the other title. He won a vacant title versus Klitschko. Stop Klitschko. I know Fury outboxed him, outslicked him, maneuvered him in the fight, but Joshua stopped him. And up until that point, Klitschko wasn't stopped for like almost 10 years. So look, man, I know people, you can say what you want to say about Anthony Joshua. That man got the best resume and in a short period of time. You know what I'm saying? In a short period of time. Because he turned pro, I think 4 years after Wilder turned pro. Yeah, I think Wilder turned pro in 2008, and Joshua turned pro in 2012, somewhere up in there. Yeah, man, it's a lot of people don't like Joshua because Joshua's demeanor, right? They think that Joshua is soft. I can tell you right now that man ain't soft. I can tell you right now that man is not soft. Oh, he's soft. We just think Wilder is real. Okay, it turns out that Wilder's told Fury he could have fought Joshua for more money, but he fought Fury. Oh, so you ducked Joshua, huh? Because he was mad at Fury, he admitted that he ducked Joshua.
Ugh.
Man, what do you think about Teofimo Lopez? And the whole what do you think about the 135-pound division? Period.
I'll be honest, I'm not really following the little weights since Manny moved up. But I caught the highlights of that fight. I mean, obviously Loma lost that fight. I don't really have much more to say about that.
You said you haven't followed the lower weight classes since Manny came out?
Since he moved up.
Oh, okay. Well, what weight class are you more interested in? Like the heavyweight and stuff like that?
Basically middle to heavy.
Oh, okay. The middleweights, heavyweights.
Yeah,
what's your assessment of Canelo?
He's a spoiled, drug-induced idiot. He's got talent.
Yeah, man. But see, my thing about I like Canelo, but the man he also failed the PED test.
No, he's failed a few. I think.
You know what I'm saying? He also failed, and I believe he failed twice before he passed.
Yeah, was it the rematch?
Once you fail a test like that, man, your career starts. Man, I can put your whole career under the microscope.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It just opens you up. It opens you up for a lot of criticism, man. And I heard some people say that clenbuterol does two things. It helps you with your stamina. We know Canelo has stamina problems, and it helps you with weight loss. And we know Canelo likes to fight at different weight classes.
Yeah.
And he likes to fight at catch weights.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to fight at 175 again.
You don't think he's going to fight at 175
again? I think he'll settle for the higher end of the super middleweight, sort of 170. Oh, sorry.
I know he said
no. I agree. Sorry, let me backtrack. If he's going to fight again, it's at the light heavy. It's going to be at a catch weight.
Are you thinking going to fight at the limit?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go near the limit.
Yeah, I agree with people. I mean, I disagree with people that say that he's gonna. I know he came out and said he'll fight Errol Spence at 160. He's not going to come down to 160 to fight no Errol Spence.
He's never going to come up to 160 again.
It's going to be a catch weight.
It'll be 164, 165. Something like that.
That's what I said. I said it'll be 165.
Yeah.
And you know why Errol Spence going to take it? Because Errol Spence has already shown that his mouth is watering for that fight. Not because he think he can beat Canelo, it's because of the payday. Canelo gonna stop Errol Spence at 165, wherever they fight at 165. He gonna stop because look, Errol Spence's style is not a good style to fight Canelo. You can't try to bully Canelo and beat him in a fight because Canelo has already fought Golovkin. So that stuff ain't gonna work. He already seen Golovkin, and Golovkin to me is more powerful than Errol Spence. So he already seen Golovkin. You're not gonna show him nothing he hasn't seen before. He fought Danny Jacobs, who was a big guy, at 160, 168, 160.
Who's got the longer reach?
Huh?
Does Spence have a longer reach than Triple G?
Yeah. Spence gonna have a longer reach than but Canelo fought guys with longer reach than him already. A lot of guys with longer reach. So he about to deal with all that stuff.
But you got to think of it this way. I mean, Spence is in his prime. How many?
But
people
hold on.
Canelo?
Hold on. You know, Canelo is younger than Spence, right? By 6 months.
But he how many miles on the clock has he got at this point? I mean, he turned professional at 17 or something like
that. Okay. You can make that case that he doesn't have a lot of miles like Canelo. I haven't seen those signs of Canelo slowing down. And the only war that Canelo had was Golovkin.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Golovkin 1 wasn't really it wasn't really a war because Canelo was moving a lot, but Golovkin 2 was more of a war, but that's the only war he really had. Errol Spence had a car accident. How many years did that take off of him?
Yeah, but the other thing to consider is Golovkin was on the wrong side of 30, getting closer to 40, right? Spence is what? How old is Spence now, actually? What is he, about 30? 31? Yeah. Spence
is 30, Canelo is 30.
So the gas tank should be better matched towards the finishing straight, so to speak. So if Spence can weather the early to mid storm, he's got a better chance of pulling out the victory because of his youth.
I don't see no look. You have to tell me, people have to tell me this too. And I understand. I don't see, people may say I'm crazy, and you may say I'm crazy. But at 160, let's just say Canelo is serious about fighting Errol Spence at 160. Let's just say he's serious about doing that. Between Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fighting him at 160, I believe, I would tell you Terrence Crawford will have a better chance of beating Canelo at 160.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Terrence Crawford has multitude of things to do. You're going to have to be able to do multitude of things well to beat Canelo. And only thing that Errol Spence does well is come forward. You're not finna beat Canelo coming forward like that, man. You just not finna do that. You're not finna beat him like that. Not at that game. Because one thing about Canelo is he move his goddamn head very well. He may not have great feet, and I don't think Errol Spence has great feet either. I think both of their feet are on par. But Canelo may not move his feet very well, but in boxing, if you can move your torso and your head well, that's just as good as moving your feet. I know people can't understand that, but if you ever boxed before, that's just as good as moving your feet. Now, I sparred with guys that didn't have really good feet, but they had good head movement and good torso movement. And that's just as good as a person moving their feet, man. So, and then Canelo is a great counterpuncher. Canelo has a really good jab himself. So he's not finna out-muscle Canelo Alvarez. You're going to have to do some other. You're going to have to do what Mayweather always say. You got to have some special effects. You can't be straight up and down. Errol Spence is straight up and down. He doesn't do anything where you're going to be sitting at home saying, I wonder how I'm going to beat this guy. When Errol Spence think about Terrence Crawford, he got to think about southpaw, orthodox, and the things that he can do with both stances. Because Terrence Crawford is two different fighters with both stances. Now he does punch with power on the right side, but when he's a southpaw, he's a hunter. That's what Terrence Crawford is when he's southpaw. He's coming to hunt you. You know what I'm saying? Orthodox, he can do both. But when he's southpaw, he coming to stop you. He coming to stop you. That's what he does.
Finish the show.
Finish the show. He's coming to stop you. But with Errol Spence, he does look. He goes to the body well. I understand he goes to the body, but if you ever look, did you look at that? Okay, I'm pretty sure you've seen that Sean Porter Errol Spence fight, right?
Yeah.
Now you heard when Kenny Porter in the corner kept saying, "Give him the body shot." You know why he was saying, "Give him the body shot"? You know that? You know why Kenny Porter was saying that? Because he was saying, "Give him the body shot. We're gonna counter him upstairs." Because the reason why a lot of guys don't go to, and now this is a secret in boxing. The reason why a lot of guys don't go to the body a lot is because they scared to get countered up top, scared to death of getting countered. Because a guy in the ring that know how to counter you, once you start trying to go to their body, trust me, they will make your hands stay at home. Trust me on that. Trust me on that. The way that see Canelo, on the other hand, Canelo and Terrence Crawford go to the body. They go to the body. They measure their body shots. What I mean by that is they don't throw a volume of body shots. They throw the right body shots at the right time. Errol Spence just goes to the body because the way Errol Spence goes to the body, he should have stopped a lot of guys to the body by now. He should have stopped Danny to the body. He should have stopped Sean Porter to the body, and he definitely should have stopped Mikey Garcia to the body. He goes to the body a lot. Why he not stopping these guys to the body? It's because he just goes to the body instead of measuring to the body. Because we all know Terrence Crawford stopped Indago to the body. You know what I'm saying? He stopped John Molina Jr. to the body. He's stopping these guys to the body because it's measured. It's a measured shot. It's not. It's not the volume. It's how you do it.
Yeah, I think what you're saying that Spence uses it more as like a pressure shot.
He goes to the body because he's more of a guy that's trying to wear you down for the later rounds. Because Errol Spence is a grinder. You know what I'm saying? When people say, well, they think Errol Spence punch harder than Terrence Crawford, I would tell you he doesn't punch. They punch just as hard as each other. I'm going to tell you that he doesn't punch just harder than Terrence Crawford. Because show me the fights to where Errol Spence is stopping somebody, hurting somebody real bad with one punch. Now, the Leonard Bundu and the Chris Algieri fight is the two fights I can point to where he kind of hurt somebody, you know what I'm saying, with one shot. I can point to a multitude of fights where Terrence Crawford hurt somebody with one shot. You know what I'm saying? And carries his power throughout the fight. Because that Benavidez fight, he carried his power all the way to the last round and put that boy on his seats with that uppercut in the inside, which is not an easy punch to get off on a seasoned fighter. Is the uppercut and drop them like that. He dropped that boy like he didn't know what punch hit him. He didn't know he got hit by a punch. You know what I'm saying? That's how he hit the canvas. So when people tell me that Errol Spence is a harder puncher, no, Errol Spence is a grinder. He grinds you out. Look at the Carol Brook fight. He grinded Carol Brook out. You know what I'm saying? Carol Brook had broke Carol Brook other eye socket because Carol Brook was winning that fight.
Yeah, he was.
It's just that Errol Spence kept grinding on him. And you know, some people that like Errol Spence, they'll say, well, Errol Spence made an adjustment in the fight. No, he did not make an adjustment in the fight. He just kept grinding. And he would have kept trying to grind if Carol Brook didn't sustain the eye socket break. Carol Brook would have won that fight.
Yep.
Because Errol Spence showed nothing different from round one until the fight ended. He just kept grinding, and just so happened his grinding paid off. For real, his grinding paid off. Hey, hit the link, Hypelo. I put the link back in the description. Hit the link, Hypelo. Come on, man. And Sadiq Boxing, hit the link, man. Come on and give your opinion. But yeah, man, that's what he did. He just kept grinding, man. I just want to see the fights. I just want to see the best fight the best. I want to see this Fury Joshua fight. So you think the Fury Joshua fight is going to happen in America in America only? It's not going to happen in the UK? Hey, Tommy Temper, are you still there? Maybe, let me see. Let me put the link back in here, man. Yeah, man, but Terrence Crawford, man, him and Errol Spence got to make that fight this year, man. I think it's been talked about, it's been hyped up. You know, there's been multiple videos, hundreds and hundreds of videos made on the fight. And they just need to make the fight this year. And sometimes, look, I understand. I'm not telling fighters, I'm not going to count fighters' pockets, tell a fighter to take less money and all that. But I'm gonna say this: boxing need the big fights as well as the little fights. They need big fights because you need to bring you need to try to create new boxing fans because the big fights bring in fight fans that are not people that are hardcore fans. They are fans that watches the fight and probably cling on to one fighter and they start liking that fighter. You know what I'm saying? So you need the big fights to help boxing. And fighters got to understand, man, you can't suck everything out. You know what I'm saying of boxing. You have to be able to give back to the sport. And if these fighters are expecting fight fans, fight supporters to pay $100, $90, $80 for these pay-per-views, okay, y'all have to give us the fights. Y'all have to give us the fights, man. Y'all have to give us the fights one time. But what do you think about so you think that Fury Joshua fight is only gonna be made in America?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it won't be the UK that much. I know for sure. I can't see it happening in the UK. Although it'd be massive if it was in the UK. But the only way I see that fight happening is probably in America. It's going to be, what's the biggest venue in America? The biggest fight is it Madison Square Garden? Wayne?
Yeah, I probably don't see it. See, America, we still not having a lot of crowds. I know Errol Spence did have a crowd in Dallas. It's certain states here who are allowing certain number of fans in stadiums. I think that Fury and Joshua want a you know what I'm saying, they want to have it to the point to where the fans are not going to be limited. You know what I'm saying? So I can see them having it in Saudi Arabia or somewhere like that. You know what I'm saying? Or America right now, we're still not all the way open to fans being at stadiums because we still having basketball without fans, football having some stadiums that hold 65,000 only allowing 1,500 people in. So I don't know if they want to do it that way because of the gate. You know what I'm saying? The gate brings in a lot of money. So that's part of paying the fighters, the promoters, because we always look at it from the standpoint of the fighters making money, but the promoters want to make money. The TV networks want to make money. Everybody want to make money. You know what I'm saying? It's not just the fighters is going to make money off this fight. It's everybody that want to make money on the fights, especially the big fights. And this is a big fight. This is for undisputed. And this is the fight I want to see. I think my guy, what's the name? He said he'll step aside so this fight can happen.
Usyk.
Yeah, he said he'll step aside. He said he'll step aside so this fight can happen, and I guess he gonna want the winner. To me, that'd be good for him to get the winner. You know what I'm saying? I think Usyk should get more fights at heavyweight anyway. I think Usyk should get about 2 more fights at heavyweight. I think he can compete at heavyweight. I think he can probably win at heavyweight, but to me, he needs to get some more fights at heavyweight, man. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a big difference between cruiserweight and heavyweight, man. But Hypelo, what do you think about? Because I know I heard y'all on the Blood stream. I couldn't get in because there was so many people on their panel. But people were talking about who they think are avoiding the fight between Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. I already have my opinion. Who I think is avoiding the fight or putting the fight off. I think Spence is avoiding the fight and putting the fight off. I think Terrence Crawford came into the division saying that he wanted to fight everybody. He wanted to fight all the guys who have the titles, and Spence has a title. You know what I'm saying? Spence had a title when he came into the division. Spence was the IBF champion before Terrence Crawford beat Jeff Horn. So what do you think about? If you want to elaborate some more on that, if you didn't have a chance on Bloodstream to say what you want to say, you can say.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk because everyone was yelling and shit. But I think to a certain degree, they both are ducking each other, and it's hard to tell because, like we always say, the art of the duck is to duck while making the other guy look like he's ducking. So I think Errol Spence has been pretty successful using the art of the duck. I think the reason why I think Spence is more responsible for the fight not happening is because Crawford really has nowhere else to go. He doesn't have 5 guys on his quote unquote side of the street that he can just fight and ignore Errol Spence. He really wants that Errol Spence fight, it seems to me. But usually, you know, when 2 guys want to fight each other, the fight happens, and all of a sudden, magically, all these, oh, it's the 2 different networks, it's different promoters, all that stuff seems to just go away when guys actually really want to fight. But whenever guys don't want to fight, there's always a million things like, oh, well, he wants it in this town, and I want it in that town, and he's with Bob Arum, and I'm with Al Heyman, and I'm like this, and you're like that. And like, when you start hearing those things like I make more money on pay-per-view, or you know, you don't have as many fights as me, or this, that, and the other thing, like when you hear all that kind of stuff, that means someone doesn't want to fight. Because if they wanted to fight, you wouldn't be hearing that. You'd be hearing, okay, there's a fight, it's going to happen on, you know, February 12th. So to me, it's a little bit of both of them, but I think Spence is more reluctant to fight Crawford than vice versa.
Yeah, man. See, and people say, so when can they have fought? Now, I looked at both of their schedules back then. When Terrence Crawford entered the division, they both fought in the same month. I believe Terrence Crawford fought Jeff Horn in June, and Errol Spence fought, I think, Ocampos in June. So they fought in June at the same time. And then after Errol Spence fought Ocampos, I believe Errol Spence was on an 8-month layoff or somewhere up in there. And then Terrence Crawford fought Benavidez. But meanwhile, Errol Spence was still on his 8-month layoff, 8 or 9 month layoff, somewhere up in there. And Terrence Crawford had a 4-month window after Benavidez before Errol Spence fought Garcia.
There's an easy answer to that question, I think.
So they could have fought. They could have made that fight up in there.
Yeah, exactly.
They could have made that fight in that
window. They
window.
could have fought any time after Crawford got the belt if they wanted to.
True.
They didn't have to take other fights. You think if Spence was willing to fight Crawford, he would have taken the Benavidez fight? I don't think so. I think he would have fought Spence. So all this, when could they have fought, based on when they actually did fight, is a moot point, because I think they could have fought at any time after Crawford got a title, because Spence said, okay, go get a title and I'll fight you. As soon as he got the title, after that, they could have fought.
Yeah, so the only reason why I narrowed it down to that date is because, you know, people want to act like they don't know if 2 fighters want to fight, that they won't fight. Because people, look, we all know if fighters want to, two fighters want to fight, it's nothing the promotion can do. It's nothing they can do. These 2 guys are going to fight no matter what. We all know that. But people want to be so anal, and they want you to say, well, give me the date. Well, I just gave you the time span. After the Benavidez fight, it was 4-month window before the Garcia fight, and Errol Spence. You know, Errol Spence was still on his 9-month, because Errol Spence went on like an 8-9 month layoff after the Ocampos fight.
So yeah, he didn't have to take the Mikey Garcia fight either. I mean,
that's what I say. He didn't have to take the Mikey Garcia fight, and what's the name? Didn't have to take the Benavidez fight. So they go to window right there. That's the window right there. You know, and you know the significance of that, because unification trumps everything. Because both of those guys had a title.
It's supposed to, but then people hide behind their mandatories.
Well, you know that. You know people gonna hide behind they hide behind a mandatory when it benefits them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. When it benefits them. And look, I like Terrence Crawford, and I think Terrence Crawford is going to beat Errol Spence. But I'm not going to say Terrence Crawford is the man at welterweight. I understand that Spence has more titles. He's the man at welterweight because I'm not saying everybody else's. I'm not saying mine is better than anybody else's. But my opinion on how I see a guy being the man at the division is the guy that got the most titles. That's the guy who I'm gonna put the man at. If you got 4 champions in the division, nobody is the man. If you have a guy that got 2 and the other 2 got 1, that guy's the man. And that's my criteria. I'm not going to change my criteria because it keeps the bias from people, from me trying to be biased. It keeps the bias out of there because, some people can be biased. But if you're going to say, hey, look, I'm biased because I'm from Dallas and I like Errol Spence and I don't care, I can understand where you're coming from. But then now I know how to deal with you instead of you just saying things, knowing that you biased, but you want to make an argument point against someone. You want to argue a point and you know that you biased. That's my thing. That's what I have a problem with, people that know that they're biased about the situation, but they still want to argue. You can't argue it if you're biased. You know what I'm saying?
I was also trying to bring up like counterpoints because some points get repeated so often that, like people just accept them as that's the way it is. And I don't agree with that. I don't think, for instance, there's this acceptance of that Errol Spence, because they limit it just to welterweight, that he has a better record than Crawford.
I'm glad you said that.
Why are you limiting it just to welterweight? Because that's the only way that you can say Errol Spence has a better record than Crawford. That's the only way. But if
my mic cracking? Is my mic cracking?
No, you sound good.
Okay.
If you want to go
better
by
now, Tommy. Okay.
If you want to go by welterweight, well, who won a title faster at welterweight? Who has in their first 5 fights a better first 5 fights at welterweight? I mean, there's all different ways you can spin the story to make it work for you. If you like Crawford, you can say, well, he's only had 5 fights at welterweight, and look what he did in those 5 fights. And look how fast he won a title at welterweight. It took Spence, I think, 19 fights to win a title.
And he stopped the guy that you beat quicker than you stopped him.
That's true too. So, I mean, this they narrow it down to put you in a corner of like, well, at welterweight, Spence
I do the whole resume.
It's like, yeah, why not? I mean, they
I
both
do the
have
whole
careers.
resume. If you're gonna do the whole resume, Terrence Crawford got a better resume. I don't just see it for 47.
And he's pound for pound, higher up pound for pound. And, he won a title quicker at welterweight. And he was undisputed, at 1 division down. So, yeah. I mean, this Errol Spence is the best welterweight is a given thing, to me, is not real. I mean, you want to go by resume at welterweight, I mean, who's better than Pacquiao? Who has a better resume than him? Nobody.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, what's the point? Like, honestly, Errol Spence has a good resume at welterweight. He's got an okay resume at welterweight.
I mean,
look,
all right. Look. So if people really want to break this stuff down, we can break it down. Because look, I'm not saying that Danny Garcia is not a good fighter. He did real good before he got to welterweight. Because at welterweight, I understand he won a vacant title versus Robert Guerrero, but who did Danny Garcia beat at welterweight? Well, you gonna hang your hat on? You're not gonna hang your hat on Robert Guerrero. I hope not. Who did he beat at welterweight? Because he lost to Sean Porter, he lost to Errol Spence, he lost to Keith Thurman. Well, people gonna say, okay, that's the top of the division. Well, but look, he got to beat one of those guys to validate why he's successful at 47, right? Am I right? He had 3 chances. He had 3 chances to prove his work at 47. He has not proved his worth at 47. He proved his worth at 40. At 40, he hasn't proved his worth at 47. Now, when we get to Sean Porter, the only one that he beat at welterweight, a significant at welterweight, was Danny Garcia. And I just told you what Danny Garcia did at welterweight. I'm just saying, man. I'm look. It is what it is.
I
man.
also thought he
like
lost
I said,
to Sean Porter. He fought Sean Porter's fight the entire fight, pretty much. He had his little moments where he was fighting his fight, but I'd say 90% of that fight was fought on Sean Porter's terms.
Are you talking about Errol Spence?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Sean Porter won the fight too. I thought he won the fight.
He forced his fight down Errol Spence's throat.
But people will tell you that Errol Spence fought that fight because Errol Spence wanted to show Sean Porter he can beat Sean Porter at this fight. No,
that's the same thing. Like, okay, then Sugar Ray Leonard beat Duran in the first fight.
Yeah, if you want to go by that criteria, huh?
Yeah, if you want to go by that criteria, I thought that fight was close, man. People just always, talk about the brawl in Montreal like it's a given that Duran won.
Actually, look at the fight. The fight was way more close.
It was super close, man. And Leonard did a damn good job of fighting Duran's fight. It wasn't smart of him to do that, but I mean, he did it, and he showed that he was capable of doing that. So does that mean he should win that fight?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, the only thing was the knockdown, but to me, that knockdown didn't make up for like 4 rounds that I had Sean Porter ahead.
Because I had Sean Porter ahead
made up
4
for
rounds
one of them
before that knockdown.
Yeah, me too.
I had Sean Porter. I had 4 rounds. I remember that.
Yeah, because it was his fight. He was fighting his fight, and Errol Spence was just couldn't do anything with him. He couldn't get him off.
But yeah, man,
I could not get Sean Porter off of him.
Yeah, man. But see, to me, this year, this fight should happen, man. This fight is. I don't care because I remember I heard Get the Smoke say that these two fighters was marinating this fight. Look, this fight is not going to get big like Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. It's not going to get even close to that stratosphere. They will be lucky in this time and day to sell 1 million pay-per-views. They'll be real lucky. I think they'll probably sell like somewhere like 8, 7, somewhere up in there.
On the third,
it's not easy to. People think it's easy to sell 1 million pay-per-views. It's not easy.
It can get big if they just fight once. The second Leonard Hearns fight was more watched than the first one, even though they were both past their prime. So you fight when you're young and in your prime, and it becomes a legendary fight. Then people want to see it again and again. That's how you get big. You don't get big by not fighting the big fights.
See, that's why. See, that's what I made that case last year. I said this. I said people think that this fight, the first fight, they can marinate and they can make it big. I said no. It may be the other way around. You may have to fight this fight to make the fight big. You may have to fight because look, you can't go off of what Mayweather and Pacquiao did because Mayweather and Pacquiao were already made men before they got to 47. Both of them was made. Like the only person that's a made man is Terrence Crawford. If you want to be honest.
Yeah, this fight isn't Mayweather Pacquiao. This is like
you cracking up.
Like Pacquiao didn't make he fought Pereira, but he took those fights.
Mm-hmm.
He had to
the
take those fights to become
the Morales.
This fight is more like that, man.
So yeah, maybe they need to fight this fight so the second fight can be real big. But I don't think they see it that way.
Or another fight down the road, They just want to skip to the end and have the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. That's what they want to
do. And people want to say that Errol Spence is this big draw. Look, man, I'm going to tell you, look, and this, to me, Hyplo, this proves just how far boxing and football, just how good in America, just how big the gap is. Football can sell out Dallas Stadium. Dallas Stadium sits over 100,000 people. Errol Spence had 15,000, and people think that was a lot. He had 15,000 in Dallas, and people think that was a lot. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
To me, that's not
neither
making a case.
Neither guy is a big draw compared to
neither guy's a big draw. That's what I'm trying to say. Neither guy is a big draw. And Errol Spence is not this big pay-per-view guy that people say he is. I'm trying to, man, if Errol Spence would have sold 1 million, 1.5 million, something like that, I'm like, okay, now we cooking. But come on, man. The man's selling what, 400,000, 300,000, and people say, well, that's a lot. When you break it down to this, that, and come on, man. You know how many people in America is 361 million people in America. You mean to tell me you can't sell more than 200,000, 300,000, 400,000? Terrence Crawford numbers is no better than that. So maybe together, that's why I said together, that's why I said together they can probably sell 800,000.
Yeah, my connection here isn't the best, so.
All right.
Yeah, it was 300,000 isn't bad for a pay-per-view, but it's not like superstar level. It's, that's basically most pay-per-views do about that much, don't they? I mean, when was the last time there was a pay-per-view that did, less than 250,000? Like, that's why they put the fights on pay-per-view, because they know they're going to get a certain amount.
Right now, Canelo is the last fighter to sell 1 million with Golovkin, right?
Well, didn't Mike Tyson and Roy?
Oh Jones? Yeah, they sold 1 million.
Yeah,
and these two dudes old as hell.
They sold 1 million.
And then you got these Paul brothers, these Logan Paul brothers coming in here. They coming up in here, and they not even what you call really boxers. And they, come on, man, like. To me, the reason why they can come in and do this stuff is because these fighters not doing what they supposed to do.
Well, I think that particular fight between those two guys would have done well no matter what was really going on, but it wouldn't have been the biggest pay-per-view of the year had there been, a Tyson Fury versus Joshua fight, or, had there been a Tyson Fury versus Wilder 3 or a Canelo versus, anybody. I think Mike Tyson and Roy Jones got the biggest pay-per-view of the year.
God damn. That's saying a lot, man. That's saying a lot, dude.
Well, these guys aren't fighting. They're just not fighting.
And I bet you Mike Tyson can probably do another fight. I think what's name? Holyfield called him out. Him and Holyfield will probably do 1 million. Will do 1 million.
Yeah, I think so. Oh yeah, I think so. That's even bigger than Jones.
So, I mean, I know Gregory Roberts. I know you said in the pandemic that's not bad, but that is bad in the pandemic. I mean, like what are you saying is not bad in the pandemic? Are you saying the pay-per-view buys? Because if people at home, so
pay-per-view buys should be higher because
they should be higher because people at home. Fight. So are you talking about the fans in the Cowboy Stadium doing that fight, or are you talking about people at home? Because people at home should be buying the fight, so the fight should do more. It should have did. Look, if it's a pandemic and people at home, you should be doing no less than 500,000 buys. Really, to be honest with you, to be really totally honest, that's an indictment of the pay-per-view numbers if you can't do better pay-per-view numbers than that, and people are at home, my dude. Like,
yeah, typically like ratings in situations like this, ratings go up because more people are watching TV because they have nothing else to do.
Nothing else to do, man. Why you think Netflix and all that stuff is going up? Because people are at home binging off of stuff. People are at home binging because they have nothing else to do. Like I just got done, well, a couple months ago, I binged on Game of Thrones. I never seen Game of Thrones, but I know people was talking about it. I said, man, you know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing to do. I'm at home. I was at home for like 6 weeks. I said, man, let me look at Game of Thrones, see what everybody was talking about. It's pretty good. It's just what everybody was talking about.
I've tried to get into that show so many times. I just can't get past the first episode.
No, you can't.
No, it was the same thing. Like, I don't like the Lord of the Rings movies either. It's just so ridiculous to me. There's no basis in reality at all. Like, I can't. I can't buy into it. You know.
I hear you. Especially if you know about history and all that.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to do that. Everyone,
like all the magic and the creatures and everything.
Yeah, you're right. Hold on.
There's no way in character. Like, a good movie, that I think works well is like Harry Potter, because Harry Potter, like, he comes from the real world and he goes into the magical world, and you kind of get to go along with him. Mm-hmm. And like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones and stuff like that, like, there's no character like that you can relate to. They're all these weird, I don't know. Just seems silly to me.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Gregory Roberts, hit the link, man. Come on here. Don't type yourself to death. Come on here and state your opinion about it. We can talk about it, man. Hit the link. There go the link right there. Well, yeah, I'm waiting for Hyper to come back in, man. But like I said, man, this Spence Crawford stuff, man, it has to come to a head, man. At some point, listen, I was here for the whole Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather talk. I was here for that whole thing. And let me tell you, it's a lot of people that they would rather talk about that fight than the actual fight happening. Even though I picked Manny Pacquiao to win the fight, I still wanted to see the fight, because I'm about seeing the fights. I don't want to sit here and talk about fantasy fights with people in the same era. Now, if we were talking about a fantasy fight between Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, or Sugar Ray Robinson or Leonard against Manny Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather, that's fine, because I know that fight can never happen because they were in different eras. So, but I don't want to sit up here and talk about Mayweather versus Pacquiao when they both in the same era. I don't want to sit here and talk about Anthony Joshua versus Wilder and they in the same era. I don't want to sit here all day and talk about Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford all day, because
we wouldn't have to, and this debate wouldn't even be happening over and over. I mean, how many times have we heard the Errol Spence and Crawford debate now? It's like over and over, because they're not fighting. That's why. Why are we talking about splits and, who's got a better resume and this and that? Because they're not fighting. If they were fighting, we'd be talking about the damn fight, dude.
True.
It's just annoying. I get annoyed by it. Like, okay, we've had the debate 20 times on Spence and Crawford and who deserves what and this and that. I'm like, why should we even care? All we should care about is they're about to fight, who's going to win, what's your prediction, that kind of thing. I prefer that kind of boxing talk to, oh, well, so-and-so did 300,000 pay-per-view buys. Like, what do I care if you did 300,000 pay-per-view buys? Like, how does that help me?
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, look, listen. People that watch the UFC, they don't have to worry about all that. Now I understand it's a different paradigm. I understand that Dana White runs everything, but Dana White running everything, he can easily have favorites for fighters and help fighters duck. But Dana White make you fight everybody. He makes the significant fights happen. He don't care if he like you or he dislike you. He gonna put you in tough. You know what I'm saying? And then I heard somebody on the podcast, on Blood Podcast, made a good point. These are gladiators. One thing about boxing doesn't have a schedule. So we're counting on these fighters acting like gladiators. That's what we're counting on. We're counting on you acting like a fighter. You know what Teddy Adler say? That guy's acting like a fighter. I'm counting on you acting like a fighter. And then when you don't act like a fighter in or outside of the ring, and that counts for you not wanting to fight certain guys or moving around or what you said, Hypelo, the art of ducking. It is a way to duck a guy without showing outright that you're ducking the guy. It really takes somebody really, really looking at it to come to have a conclusion.
To duck and make it look like it's the other guy. Like for instance, a good example of this to me, and I know this is controversial to some people. Some people bought into the whole Pacquiao was on performance enhancing drugs thing, but Mayweather with the take the test thing to me was the perfect art of ducking because it made it look like Pacquiao was ducking because he wouldn't take the test. You see? But it was really Mayweather ducking, in my opinion.
Hey, when you start putting stipulations, they told that man to go get a look. They told that man to go get a belt. That man went to go get a belt. You know what I'm saying? As soon as he went to go get a belt, oh, you on the other side of the street. Okay, you should have just said that in the first place. You should have said, no matter if you get a belt, you're on the other side of the street, so I'm not going to fight you. Why didn't they say that? They said go get a title because they didn't expect Terrence Crawford to beat Jeff Horn because a lot of those guys on PBC, I was hearing the interviews, they were saying that they don't think that Terrence Crawford is going to be able to beat Jeff Horn because Jeff Horn is a big welterweight. That's what I was hearing.
Well, I think Horn kind of upset the apple cart in general because once he beat Pacquiao, I think what they were trying to do was make Pacquiao versus Crawford. But I think Pacquiao actually ducked the Crawford fight and he went with Horn instead and then ended up losing in a close fight. And then at that point, everything was all screwed up because had he beaten Horn, he would have still had the WBO title. Then he would have had to fight Crawford because in the WBO, when you move up, you get an automatic shot, right? So
yeah, that's what I hear people say.
Instead of getting an automatic shot against Pacquiao, which he would have, that would have forced Pacquiao to fight him. And instead, by losing to Horn, he got the automatic shot against Horn, and then Pacquiao mysteriously left, went to go to the other side. You know, that was a little weird too. And another thing that's really funny is that as soon as Crawford got the WBO title, the PBC tried to start saying the WBO doesn't count. As if like they make the decision on which ones count and which ones don't.
Yeah, that's my thing too. That's
meanwhile, the WBA, WBC, and IBF all acknowledge the WBO. Mm-hmm. They all acknowledge it. So the PBC comes along and they say, no, the WBO doesn't count. Well, what they say doesn't count because they don't decide that. The other sanctioning bodies decide that. So they can't just make the WBO disappear. And they tried to, and it was all because of Crawford. So now why would they do that? Because they didn't want Spence to have to fight Crawford to be undisputed. They wanted him to just be undisputed.
True.
With 3 titles.
Yeah.
So that, to me, more than almost anything else, shows that Spence does not want to fight Crawford. Why would they go to all that trouble and try to say the WBO doesn't count? And then a few months later, didn't they have someone fight for the WBO on BBC? Like, oh no, now it counts because there's someone who has the title on our side. You know what I mean?
But look, man, you've been around boxing a long time. I've been around boxing a long time. The reason why they don't want to fight Terrence Crawford is Terrence Crawford is a problem.
He could win.
Yeah, he's a problem. He's a problem, man. He can upset the apple cart.
Yeah.
Terrence Crawford is he's a big problem. You don't want to fight. Look, man, it's hard to deal with somebody of Terrence Crawford intelligence, IQ, and that ring, man. That's gonna be a long day. And plus Terrence Crawford don't have a history of being out of shape and all that.
I couldn't.
Yeah, but
I couldn't hear you for a second.
I'm gonna shut this down so I can look at my Bears game. My Bears game finna come on. But thanks for coming through, man. You know, hey, look, you know how we do.
Yeah, man.
You know how we do, man. We can do it again. We can do it again. You know how we do.
All right, for sure, man. Yeah, I'm always down. But thanks for having me on, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, tell them what we can find you at, man.
Just Haplotype 0 on YouTube. That's pretty much it. I'm not on other social media. I'll be on Coach K's channel from time to time, here on Wayne Talk, and sometimes occasionally on D Styles channel. Those are the ones I go to the most.
All right, man. Thanks for coming through the Hypo.
All right, no problem, bro.
All right.